Hello, New York. Are you ready to fight? Are you ready to make New York the leader on fighting for low-wage workers all around the country? So we are very pleased to be here today. And we thank all of you who came, because we know that you are going to be the troops that are going to make possible for fast food workers and all low-wage workers to win big in New York State. I'm Hector Figueroa. I'm the president of Local 32BJ of SCIU. And it is really my honor and privilege to open up the program here today. Why are we here? We are here because we need to reorient our economy so hard-working New Yorkers and also hard-working Americans can have faith again that the American dream is possible, that working hard is rewarded, that we can feed our families, raise our children, pay our rent, pay our bills, and contribute to this economy by having good jobs and respect. If you can put your sounds down a little bit, I'm getting the signal that the press wants to make sure to capture this moment. And we are in a historic moment. May is Labor History Month, but we are making history today, and we have a Governor, Andrew Cuomo, that we have to thank for the history that we're making here today. But make no mistake, this is a fight, this is a campaign. Throughout the last 3 years, the country has been regaining hope for hard-working Americans because of the work of fast food workers. And with fast food workers, other low-wage workers, airport workers, retail workers, home care workers, adjunct faculty, all around the country are beginning to say, we need to have better pay, we need to get a living wage, we are fighting to raise America, we need to fight for 15. Here today, you're going to hear from key leaders in this movement. But I want to acknowledge up front some of the people who are here because they are with you. And together, we're going to realize the vision of the governor, and together, we're going to get the gains and the hopes of fast food and low-wage workers to be real, practical, and happening. Because we believe that we can win. We believe that we can win. We believe. We believe. So let's acknowledge some of the outstanding leaders here today. We got Congresswoman Caroline Maloney, Congressman Jerry Nadler, Congressman Jose Serrano, New York City Comptroller Scott Stringer, Senator Adriano Espaillat, Senator Danny Squadron, Acting Commissioner of Labor Mario Mussoli, Vice President of the Communication Workers of America Chris Shelton, Flavia Cabral from the 515 Fast Food Workers Campaign, and International Union President Betty Kane Henry of SCIU, and our New York State Governor, Andrew Cuomo. Now, we are here not as an end point. This is the beginning. This week, we also saw the Assembly of New York passing a bill to raise the minimum wage. They're calling for 15, and we thank Carl Hasty for it. But make no mistake, the leadership in the Senate has yet to respond. We thank the governor for the bold action he's taking today, but we are also committed with the governor to fight all through our state and to invite to join this movement the leaders in the Senate from both parties, because paying people people what they deserve, raising America with good pay, is not a Republican issue, it's not a Democrat issue, it's an issue for the country and for working people. I want to thank and acknowledge the Hotel Trades Council for being here today, New York Communities for Change, Citizen Action, Made the Road New York, Working Families Party, and Local 32BJ. And I know there are many other groups, and we'll make more acknowledgements at the end. With this, I want you to welcome a leader who from Seattle to San Francisco, from Fort Lauderdale to Chicago, and now from New York City to Albany, has been beating the drum on the fight for 15, has been putting the conversation in the country about the need to have low-wage workers get their fair share. She's using the power of our national union, SEIU, to lift workers everywhere. She's willing to partner with those elected officials like the governor who understand that this is one of the key issues of our time. Let's welcome our sister, mi hermana, President of SEIU, Mary Kay Henry.
Thank you, Hector. Hello, brothers and sisters. Today is a day of hope and inspiration for working people in New York, but all across this country. I am proud to stand with the governor of New York, Andrew Cuomo, who is taking this historic step to make sure that working people who are trying to do right by their families have a shot at leading a decent life and being able to expect that our kids do better. Thank you, Governor Andrew Cuomo. When we unite, and that's what today's action by the governor reminds us, that working people got into the streets beginning right here in New York City and made the case to the nation that if you work hard, you should not have to have food stamps to have your children eat. And that's what this wage board is going to correct once and for all here in the state of New York. And we want to thank this governor, and we want to call on every governor in every state to take the bold and aggressive action that Andrew Cuomo is doing here in New York. We want every city, we want every state to consider the tools they have at their disposal to make sure that working people, fast food workers, home care workers, airport workers, retail workers, all workers in our economy, that when you work hard for a living, you ought to be able to raise your families. Fast food workers and cashiers have shown us that when you have the guts to stick your necks out and demand 15 in a union, that your voice can be heard by the most powerful elected official in the state of New York. We urge the wage board to listen to the voices of underpaid workers and approve a $15 an hour wage. Governor Cuomo's leadership opens the way to raise the wage to 15 and provides inspiration for workers all across the economy to keep expanding the fight for 15 in a union so that home care workers can earn 15 all across this country, child care workers, higher education faculty, retail workers. SEIU members stand with these workers in their demand, and we're not going to let anything stand in the way of winning 15 in a union, because the fight for 15 in a union is a fight to fix everything that's wrong in America. that 2 years ago in November of 2012, when hundreds of brave fast food workers here in the city of New York dared to believe that it was possible to win 15 in a union. And I'm proud to introduce one of the leaders of that movement, now a global movement, where on April 15th, 240 American cities, together with 137 cities around the world, joined hands in a demand for 15 in a union. Please join me in welcoming Flavia Cabral, a leader of the global fast food workers movement, a movement of working people all across the economy. She believes, New York, do you believe? We believe. We believe that we can win. We believe that we can win. We believe that we can win. We believe that we can win.
Thank you. Let me take this. Good afternoon. My name is Flavia Cabral, and I'm working in McDonald's for $75 an hour. And I'm responsible for my bills and my husband and my 15 years old daughter. And I have 2 grandkids. I want my daughter and my grandchildren to have every opportunity, but no one in New York can survive on $8.75 an hour. I work 2 jobs. Even have 2 jobs, I can complete $300 or $400 in a week. My family and I have a really to be in the government assistant. I can afford medication for my husband, and I can afford it for my school supplies for my kids. So, that's not right. That's not right. Everyone who works hard should be able to provide their family and stand up for their own. Including me, I don't have saving to send my daughter to college, and that's why I'm worried about it. That's why we're fighting for $15 in a union. So that's what we're fighting for. 2 years ago, I went to the first strike in the fast food workers in New York City, and I'm afraid. But now, I have been gone 9 times to strike that I see the change. We're changing our situation. So we have to believe we're going to win $15 in a union. Are we going to fight for? Right? Yes, we will win. We will win. We will win. Yes, we'll win. When I started, people thought we not have the chance to win 15. So, but today, we have been here in San Francisco. They have $15 an hour. In Seattle, they have a $15 an hour. And New York City is going to be the next one to be $15 an hour. It's going to be the next city in the United States. New York City going to be 15 in the union. And yes, and I'm here standing today as a proud member of the Fighting for 15. Now I'm going to introduce the government of a state whose leadership will change they're going to change the life of the fast food worker all over New York City. From my hometown Bronx to way up to Buffalo. The government announcement today show us that we when stick together, we can win. And we have to be united to be winning all the time. We have to be together. I feel, yes, I'm proud to stand with him. Governor Cuomo, thank you for standing up here today with us. Thank you, and keep struggling and keep being together. So now it's going to be the Cuomo. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
you. Thank you very much. First to Flavia Cabral. Let's give her a round of applause and thank her for her leadership. All the great labor leaders you heard from today, Mary Kay Henry, who is a national force for justice. Let's give her a round of applause. To Hector Figueroa, we thank him for his leadership. Let's give him our round of applause. And for my courageous colleagues who are here today from government, starting with Controller Scott Stringer, Chris Shelton, CWA, Carolyn Maloney, Congressman Jose Serrano, Congressman Jerry Nadler, State Senators Dan Squadron and Adriano Espaillat. Let's give them a round of applause. And do we have any members of labor in the crowd today? I'm sorry, I can't hear you. I said, no, I can't. No, because if 32BJ was in the house, you'd hear 32BJ. If 1199 was in the house, you'd hear 1199. If HTC was in the house, you'd hear HTC. My friends, we gather today at a very, very important time. Not just in this state, but in this nation that is going through a transformation. And you feel it on every level. You look at what's happening internationally with international affairs and the increase in terrorism, and it seems like the planet is spinning faster than ever on its axis. You look at what's happening in the environment, where yesterday's extremes are today's new normal. And you see it on what's happening in the economy, where you have a permanent underclass that can't get up that ladder, that feels that the promise of opportunity for all has been forsaken, who can't live with what they're getting paid. It's polarizing society. It's corporate greed at its worst. It's a minimum wage that doesn't work. It has to stop, and it has to stop right here, and it will in the state of New York. Now, some people call it income inequality, and we've been talking about it for years. Unfortunately, we've made very little progress, but it's not really income inequality, because we've always had income inequality, and we always will have income inequality. We never said in this country it should be equal incomes. It's not. But words matter. And what we're really talking about is a state of affairs that has our economy commonly dealing with wage fraud from companies that don't want to pay a true minimum wage. It's about employee extortion. It's about corporate irresponsibility. It's about the misappropriation of taxpayer funds. It's a fundamental violation of the promise of America. It is unethical, and it should be illegal what's going on. This country passed the minimum wage law in 1938. It was passed, a champion was named Franklin Delano Roosevelt, a great president. And what FDR said was that if you work full-time, you should be able to provide for yourself and your family, and you should be able to move beyond poverty. That's what the minimum wage law was all about. FDR said, and I quote, "By living wages, I mean more than a bare subsistence. I mean the wages of a decent living. That's what the minimum wage law is all about. Now, I am proud that we raised the minimum wage law in New York 2 years ago. And I've been working very hard to raise the minimum wage again this year. I've been joined by my colleagues in the State Assembly, and I want to thank them for their support. But the Republican Senate in New York has refused to raise the minimum wage. And my friends, they are wrong. And the fact that the minimum wage law is too low is not a question of politics. And it's not a question of ideology. It's a question of simple math. You cannot support a family in New York for $18,000 per year, period. The numbers just don't add up. The average cost of housing is $11,000. The average cost of food is $9,000. The average cost of clothing and expenses is $6,000. And $18,000 doesn't cover it. We have to raise the minimum wage law to fulfill the promise of the law when it was created, a safe, clean, decent way to live with honor and dignity beyond poverty. And that's what today is about. Now, there is no more obvious and obnoxious display of this injustice than in the fast food industry. Fast food workers are not kids. Over 70% of them are primary wage earners for their families. Fast food workers are proof that the minimum wage is unlivable because they're not living on the minimum wage. Over half the families qualify for public assistance to make ends meet and need food stamps to make ends meet. And that's how they're living. And that happens more in the fast food industry than any other industry in this country. So think about what we've really been doing. The taxpayers of this nation have been subsidizing the workers at McDonald's and Burger King at a cost of over $7 billion annually, and that's just wrong. Here in the state of New York, we pay more than any state in the nation to subsidize welfare. We pay an average of $6,800 per worker through public assistance. It costs this state $700 million a year to subsidize the profits at McDonald's and Burger King, and that is wrong, and that must stop. It's not like government is subsidizing small businesses or mom and pop businesses. This year, McDonald's made $4.67 billion, and Burger King made $291 million. They don't deserve subsidies from the taxpayers of New York State. And it's not like the CEOs are struggling. They made an average of about $24 million over the past few years. And it's not like these corporations are even trying to be fair. They don't even pretend. Over the past few years, they quadrupled the CEO's salary, and the minimum wage worker went up less than 0.5%. It is outrageous. So I announced today, as the governor of the state of New York, that I want to get out of the hamburger business. I don't want the taxpayers of New York subsidizing the profits of McDonald's anymore. And this has to end. I think the fast food industry should live up to the spirit of the law. and pay a minimum wage that is truly a minimum wage and a livable wage. I think their situation is a fraud. I think their profits are based on unpaid wages and unpaid employee expenses and costs that have been improperly transferred to government. And if the Republican Senate doesn't want to hear it, then I will use the power I have, and I call on the Department of Labor to assemble a wage board to study this issue, determine what is fair, and raise the minimum wage for fast food workers to a livable wage, and stop subsidizing McDonald's and Burger Kings with the hard-earned tax dollars of New Yorkers. And I say to you, and I say to you today, let this great state of New York lead the way in redefining the issue of income inequality and reestablishing a true minimum wage. Let New York lead the way in ending the ongoing wage fraud, in ending the gross corporate welfare, in ending the improper use of tax dollars. And my friends, New York leads by not talking about it, by doing it. And we start today. And I want that wage board finished in 3 months and have real progress to show. We'll do that by setting a true minimum wage, and then we're going to challenge every state in the nation to follow the lead of New York and do what's right and do what's fair. And New York will lead. New York will lead just like we led on marriage equality and gay marriage and ending discrimination, and the way we led on gun control, and the way we led on protecting the environment. We're going to lead the way on raising the minimum wage and fulfilling the promise of honor and justice for workers in New York. Because New York is still the progressive capital of this nation, and because we are right, and because FDR was right when he said, and I quote, "No business which depends for existence on paying less than living wages should have any right to continue in this country." They don't. They don't. It violates the promise of this country. It violates the ethics of this state. It violates the morality of the people of this state. It's a theft of the tax dollars of the people of this state. It's going on too long. It stops. It stops here. It stops now. And we will win. 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 Thank you and God bless you.
Brothers and sisters, the governor of New York, Andrew Cuomo. I want to do 2 more acknowledgements. La Fuente Tri-State, Fund for Worker Education is here. And we also want to acknowledge Senator Dan Squadron. I think I'm missing at the beginning a very good champion of working people in the Senate. So brothers and sisters, today we begin. We are no longer 32BJ or just HTC. We're no longer Communities for Change or Citizen Action. We are one movement that is going to make possible to lift the standards of fast food workers throughout the state, throughout the country, and in doing so, we will win for all hardworking Americans that are fighting for a decent wage. ¿Se puede? ¿Se puede? Sí se puede. Sí se puede. Yes, we can. Let's do the work. Let's organize. Let's campaign. Let's make this happen. There are those who will stand on our way. There are those that need to be educated. There are those that need to be brought together to this goal. Let's go out and organize. We will win. We will win.